right, let's get into the prepping supplies and the list. Finally, the part we've all been waiting for, right? After all, becoming prepared requires us to have stuff. I mean, it's great to know how to build a water filter, but if you don't have those supplies to build that filter, that knowledge kind of does you no good at that point. And remember to keep in mind everything that we talked about in the prior modules, because as you build your supplies and as you increase your food storage and as you begin to fill your bug out bags and all of your supplies, you need to do it the right way, because if you do it the right way, you're already more prepared than 99% of the people out there who just kind of dive right into prepping and start blowing through their bank account. Doing this just causes us to be disorganized and stressed out and feeling that even though we just spent $500 on all this stuff, we still don't feel like we're more prepared than we as prepared as we should be, I suppose. So now, if you just found out about this course and you're jumping right into the supply section, I strongly suggest that you kind of go back and start from the beginning to get a better idea about how to build your supplies without burning yourself out or emptying your bank account. But while you're here, you might as well join in. But just remember, head back to the beginning and start there. Think of this course like watching a movie. If you're watching something and you jump into a movie halfway through, you're not going to understand what's going on in the movie, or even worse, you might think you understand what's going on, but you really have no idea about this preparedness journey and what supplies to get. So how do you start your list? How do you filter all the information out and find out what makes a list that fits your needs? Well, what I do is I break it down into 3 categories. Category 1 is supplies for survival. These supplies are probably the most important, and these things include, but aren't limited to, like water, food storage, electricity, light, cooking, shelter, all of the important stuff. And the second category, I call supplies for sanity, because just because the poop hits the fan doesn't mean that we need to depend on the bare essentials to feed our family, like having beans and rice every day. When the poop hits the fan, we're going to be stressed out enough. So having some supplies like coffee, sweets, or eat chocolate, me, rock stars, can kind of take the edge off, at least for a little bit, until you become more accustomed to that lifestyle that's getting kind of forced upon you. And children as well, you know, if children are used to eating SpaghettiOs or something like that, they're going to want those SpaghettiOs. So that will help you maintain your sanity if you can get your kids what they want, so they kind of leave you alone. And the third category is supplies for bartering. These are kind of my lowest priority, but it never hurts to have a little bit of extra of something that could be useful for bartering in the future. And remember that your situation is different from mine. You might not have the room to store a bunch of water or a bunch of fuel, so you might have to stockpile supplies that take up less room, like batteries and lighters and water purification tablets that you could use in the future to get that water or to get that fuel, stuff like that. So let's go through how I build my supply list, how I keep my preps even, and how I keep them organized and rotated. And all the time while doing this, I'm still staying within my budget that I set for myself. All right, let's go through some of these worksheets real quick, and I'll show you how I do it. You don't necessarily need to do it the same way I do. This just works the best for me. First, I would suggest always starting with your budget, because that's where you're going to find out where you have the money, where you need the money, where you don't have the money, and all of that stuff. And not only is it good for your preps and building up your supplies, it's good just to be able to stay ahead of everything, so you don't get those extra costly bills like late payments on your credit cards and stuff like that. So what I do is fill in like this right here. Everything's going to be blank when you first get it, and you've got to take the time, and it takes a little bit of time to fill out all the 12 months of the year. But once you get that, it's pretty easy after that to just kind of go through each month and see where your money's at. And what I do here, these little icons can be moved. You just click and hold it, and then let's say you get paid the first Friday, the third Friday, and then the fifth Friday. And then you take those, and let's say that the incoming for those weeks are going to be $2,000, and that could be yours or your spouse's, all the money that's incoming that week. So you put $2,000 there, you'll put $2,000 there, and you'll put $2,000 there. And then you just take all of these and put them where they go. So let's say insurance 2 is for the second card. Let's say that's $150 a month. And let's say that one's due on the 17th of the month. And the 17th is the third week. So here in the third week, you're going to put $150. And then it's going to add up everything right there. So in the first week, we've got these filled out where we've got the rent that needs to be paid. We've got $100 that we're going to divide up all month in groceries. And then we've got the internet that needs to be paid. And then down here, you've got your $2,000 paycheck that's coming in. So what this column will do, it will add up everything in this column right here, and it'll tell you what expenses you have for that week. And then right here, it'll tell you the incoming for that week. So you have 2,000, and then it'll tell you after that what extra that you have left over. Now, this is cool because you have $840 left over. But if you look into week 2 where you don't get paid, you've still got to pay you've still got to buy some groceries. You've got your cable to pay, and you want to put some money in savings and then a little bit for extra spending. So you're $605 in the hole. So what that means is from week 1, you need to save, let's say, $700. And then once you do that, you take that $700 and it subtracts out of that. So that means you have $140 extra. And then you would add that $700 to incoming cash, because that money will be in your bank, or you'll have it in cash when week 2 starts. And that shows you that you have $95 left over to spend. And that's even with saving $50. So with that $50, you have $2,000 coming in from your paychecks and everything. So you want to add that $50 to the $2,000. So that'll be $2,050, and then it says you have $1,750 left over. And that would be great if it worked out like that, but it never usually does. So on that one, maybe you want to save $1,000, something like that, and that would give you $1,000 to put in your incoming right there, because that money is in your bank when you started that week off. And that shows that you have $800 left over. So the point is, and I've done a video that really puts a lot of detail into this. If you're not sure how to use Excel, it can be pretty tough and it can be pretty tricky. But yeah, I've done a really in-depth video with this. But basically what it is kind of just putting everything out there for you to see where your money is, where it's going, and show you how you have either a little bit extra, hopefully, or maybe you need to figure out how you're going to get a little bit extra. So after I get my budget planned out, what I'll do is I will go to this worksheet right here, which is the cause and effect. And what this does is basically, it lets me know, let's see, I can't open that. It lets me know what situations that I'm concerned about. And I know we all know what situations we're concerned about, but this kind of puts it down a little bit better and gives you a better idea of where you are with that. So let's go through a few of these real quick. Like a grid down scenario. How concerned are you about this scenario? And 0, between 1 and 10, 0 being not concerned at all. Let's say we're pretty concerned about, we're at an 8 on the scale to 1 to 10 about a grid down event. And then you need to look at how prepared are you for this event right now. And 0 being, I don't have anything. I don't even have a candle. Let's say that, we're right in the middle. We've got some candles and some flashlights and stuff. So we'll put that as a 5. And then the third column is how prepared do you think you need to be for this? And we'll go ahead and throw that in there as a 9, because this is something that we're really concerned about. And that'll give us a 32, which a 32 falls in this category, which is maybe not today, but you should start thinking about a plan before it's too late. Now let's go into economic collapse, and let's act like we have nothing figured out for this. So we're going to go a 9 because we're almost positive this is going to happen, and we're going to go a 2 because we really don't have anything. We're living week to week on our paychecks. We don't have anything saved. We don't have any way to grow food. Our food storage is awful. Let's just say we don't have anything. And then on the last column, 1 to 10, how prepared are you for this? Let's do the same thing. We don't have crap. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the second column. Let's say we want to put this at a 10 because we think this is just inevitable. And this right here gives us a 72, this is probably where you should start. And then let's go with an EMP. Let's say we're 50-50 on this. You know, an EMP could strike, it might not, but I've got other things to worry about. And then how prepared are you right now? And, you know, this is a 4 almost in the middle. Yeah, I can deal without my iPhone or all of that. And then how prepared do you think you need to be? Well, I've got some other stuff to worry about, but, you know, I need to think about that. And that gives us a 5%, which doesn't look like you have too much to worry, or doesn't look like you think you have too much to worry about. Now let's go my situation, tornadoes here. I'm pretty concerned about tornadoes. How prepared do you think you are for tornadoes? I'm pretty prepared, but there's not a whole lot you can do if a tornado comes and barrels down your house. So we'll go 7. And how prepared do you think you need to be? And, you know, here in this area, I think I need to be pretty prepared. So this says a 16, which doesn't look like you have much, or you think you have much to worry about. And this is kind of true because, one, I've got, you know, I think I'm pretty prepared for the situation. And if I'm not, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So the difference with all these, like a grid down scenario, you've got a 32. You need to look at why you got the 32. You feel like you need to be prepared for it. You're pretty concerned about it, but you're not all the way there, so you need to think about it. An economic collapse, you're pretty sure this is going to happen. You're pretty concerned about it, but you don't have a whole lot of anything ready for it. So this is where you should probably start. And this gives you an idea of where to start building your supplies and all of that stuff. And a lot of these, you know, the grid down scenario, the economic collapse, as you start building those supplies, you'll become more prepared for the other events as well. And tornadoes and stuff like that would be the same thing as a grid down event. So if I'm getting prepared for a grid down event, I'm going to be more prepared when it comes to tornadoes and natural disasters and all of that stuff. And then after this, what I'll do is I'll go to my supplies, and I want to figure out what kind of personal supplies I'm going to need. And with this, I've split this up into food storage, water storage, and you can just click on one of these links and it'll take you to water storage, or you can click back up there and go home, and then you can go down to security and you can click back up there. So we'll start with food storage. And this is not a list that you need. This is not a shopping list right now. This is just everything that you think you're going to need. So you could put beans and rice. You could put, bread on there. And say we'll just go 4 loaves. I don't know why. We'll just go 4 though. And that's what you have on hand. And what do you think you need? You need, I don't know about how long 10 loaves of bread would last, but you might want to figure out how to make your own bread. But for this situation, we'll do that. And what's your priority? Let's say, bread, I'm not concerned about. We can deal without bread. And beans, let's say you have 50 pounds right now and you need 100 pounds and you want to get those up to that 100 pounds. So we'll mark that as a priority 2. And then let's say rice, you have 0 pounds and you need 100 pounds of rice. 100 pounds of rice. So you have 0, so that's a priority 3. And as you go through this list, and you can kind of take all these priority 3s, and that's where you start your shopping list. And that's the things that you need to work on first. So let's say you went out and bought 50 pounds of rice, and you need 100. So now you can take that third priority and mark that down to a second priority 2. And then maybe you buy 75 pounds and you've got 100, so that's just a 1. And then once you get all the way up to 100 and you're right where you need to be, then you can kind of take that off. And then work your way down, work your way through the priority 3s and then the priority 2s, and then hopefully down to no priority at all. But that really never happens because we're always using our stuff and we have to use it before it expires. So this is going to always change. But if you go through this list, it'll give you a good idea of where to start your supply list and what you need to buy. And you can make this as depending on what scenario concerns you the most. If you are worried about an off the grid event, then your first aid supplies or anything like that, maybe you need some band-aids. And let's say that on hand you have 2 boxes of 20, so you have 40 band-aids, and you feel like you need 4 boxes, so you need 80 band-aids. So that's a priority 2. And let's say that aspirin, and let's say aspirin, you have no aspirin and you feel like you need 4 bottles of 200, so you need 800 tablets. So that would be a priority 3. You need to get that figured out because you have none. And then once you buy a couple of bottles of it, maybe mark that down to a 2 or a 1 or whatever you want. But once you get this list done, and then you can go to the next list, which we have, which is the supply checks. Sorry. And what this is once you get all of those supplies, once you purchase those supplies, you want to make sure they're rotated and they're not expired or anything like that. So what you would do is either you can, like I said, you can either print this off, you can keep it on your tablet and just write on here, and that way you can, save it. You don't have to waste the paper, or you can print it off later and have everything neatly written so everybody can read it, because some people can't read my handwriting. So, but you put the date in here, and then you put basement food, or maybe we'll put supplies, basement supplies. And then, so we have, well, this is not supplies, it's still food, but so we have corned beef, and we have, let's say we have 20 cans of corned beef, and they expire in August, but a couple years from now. So do we think we need more? Maybe we need 40 cans. So we'll put a check mark there. And corned beef, we have 5 right now, and they expire 3/14. Maybe we don't need a whole lot of corned beef, so we don't need any more of that. And then tuna, we've got 25 cans, but they all expire, in 6 months in August of 2014, or whenever you're watching this. So we need to, first of all, we need to use those, and then we're going to need to buy some more. So these are things that, you can write down and say, hey, okay, we need to pull this tuna out and make sure it's out in the open so we use that. We don't get, stuck with 25 cans of expired tuna. And then same thing, you can go bedroom 1, closet, first aid kits. You've got gauze, you have 2, they don't expire, but maybe you feel like you need some more. You've got Band-Aids, you've got 50, and they expire next year, so you're doing pretty good with those. Scissors, maybe you want another, they don't expire, so you can either put NA or just leave it blank. Maybe you want one more, so you just put a check mark right there that, hey, I'm thinking about maybe getting another pair of scissors, or we have another first aid kit, but we don't have a third pair of scissors. And then aspirin, you have 200, and they expire next year, but you want a few more of those, so you'll check mark there. And then you could take this list and build another shopping list and figure out which supplies you need, which supplies. The main thing I use this for is the expirations and rotations. You can put everything on here, all your different supplies, and stuff in your garage, stuff in your bedroom, wherever you hide stuff, wherever you put stuff. It helps you keep organized with that, so you're not forgetting about a certain area, or all of a sudden you find those 25 cans of tuna that are expired. And then as you begin all of this stuff, I've got a food storage calculator as well. And what this is this is just the basic, you want to start small and work your way up. So there's no reason to store a bunch of flour and all of that if you don't know how to make bread. So what you're going to want to do is go through and see what your family uses on a weekly basis and get yourself built up to about a month. So up here we've got number of weeks desired. So let's change that to 4. And if you just if you just go ahead and click on that and hit 4 and then click off of it, it'll change all of these values and it'll give you the price. So let's say cereal, we've got the average person uses 1 box a week and the average child uses 1 box a week. So for 4 weeks, the average person uses 4 and the average child uses 4. So you're going to need 8 boxes of cereal to last you a month going by this. And you'll put in the average cost, say they're $3.50. So it's going to cost you $28. How many do you have stored right now? Let's say you have 4 stored right now. So that's going to say, it's going to tell you need to buy 4 more, and it's going to give you your price right there of how much that's going to cost you. And what it does is it gives you the total here at the bottom of all these different categories. You've got your meat, your refrigerated products, your freezer products, your pantry items, and then up here on the top, it'll give you a total of what you're looking at spending on all of that different stuff. So let's say spaghetti, pounds of spaghetti. Let's say your family, the one adult in your family, maybe they use 1 pound of spaghetti per week. You've got a good spaghetti eating family, and the kids, maybe they don't eat very much, but so we'll put 0.2. And then, so that means you're going to need 4 pounds of spaghetti for your adults, and maybe close to 1 pound for the kids. So you're going to need about 4.8. And then let's say spaghetti costs $1.20 for a pound. And right now you have, let's say you have just 2 pounds of spaghetti stored. So you're going to need to buy about 3 more boxes, and that's going to cost you about $3.36. And that'll update this total, and it'll update this total up here. And then you can change all of these too. All you have to do is double click and then hit backspace, and then you can put in there like, fruit, F-R-U-I-C-E. Oops, not X. Okay, you can put in fruit juice, and then right here, if you just double click that, you can put, I don't know, pack. And then let's say the average adult uses 1, and let's say the kids love their juice, so they use 2. And then the average cost per unit is, I don't know, $4, something like that. And then right now you have just 2 of those. So you're going to need to buy 10 more if you want that fruit juice to last a whole month. So you're going to need to buy $40 worth. Now you can change this to 2 months or 2 weeks. You can change this to 1 week, you know, and see what exactly you need for those weeks. And it gives you an idea of how much of the stuff you need. And, you know, you want to keep your preps even, so you don't want to have 30 boxes of cereal and no spaghetti or no lunch meat or anything like that. So this just gives you an idea how to keep everything even. So I've got a long-term food calculator too as well that is below this video. I'm not going to go through that right now, because first we need to get the basics down. And once we get the basics down, and once we get ourselves to being prepared for a month or so, that's when you can, you know, learn about how to make bread and learn about all of that different stuff, and then get those supplies that you need, because we're going to need a lot more than just Pop-Tarts and cereal and bacon and stuff. If the grid's down, you know, you're not going to have a whole lot of, you're not going to have a way to keep that bacon and that meat cool. So you're going to have to figure out maybe a way to can it or dehydrate it, stuff like that. But for right now, you just want to be prepared for the beginning stages of anything. And as you work through this preparedness journey, you're going to get better, and you're going to learn more, and you're going to get all of those skills that you can start doing that long-term food storage and all of those supplies. So with that, I guess let's go ahead and get back to the course. All right, so that might seem a little daunting. That's a whole lot of stuff, right? But a well laid out plan will pay off for you in the long run. You won't get confused or bogged down, and you'll have a better grasp on how well you're actually doing, because you know exactly what you have and what you need. So let's do a quick recap and get out of here so we can start working on our list. And it all starts with your budget and paying attention to your money. I hate getting to the end of the month and saying, we were supposed to have a couple extra $100 left. Where did it go? Or how did we spend it all? And you'd be amazed at how much you can save just by paying attention to what you're spending. And when you think twice about spending that extra $5 here and there, you'd be surprised at how that adds up at the end of the month. And instead of being, you know, wondering where that couple of extra $100 went, you actually it's the other way around. You actually have a couple of extra $100. And then prioritize your threats that you're preparing for. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and you don't want to be that person that's preparing for an EMP and then get blindsided by some sort of natural disaster. This will also give you an idea of some of the tools that are multi-item, multi-use tools. And then remember, prepping is personal. Don't take your list that you find all over the internet. Don't take those too literal. Take these lists and find a way to build your own list. What someone else feels like is a priority to them might not carry the same weight for you. And we all have different circumstances and different restrictions that we all need to keep in mind when we're building our lists. So take those lists and make your own list. Make a list that works for you and what you want and what you need. You can also use the worksheets below, or, you know, just make your own. But the point is just figure out a plan and then stick to it and get better at it. And then know what you have and know what you need. Maybe once a month, take an inventory of your supplies. It's a lot easier to look at a piece of paper and see what you have than it is to dig around a shelf or something that has 100 cans of food on it because you're wondering, hey, do I have any peaches or anything like that? And also keep your preps even. Prep for 1 week, then 1 month, then 1 year. Keep a prep timeline. Don't prep supplies. Prep a timeline. It does you no good to have a year's worth of food if you only have enough water to last a week. And then think about your storage capabilities and what supplies you need. If you live in an apartment, you might need some supplies, more supplies for bartering because you can't store that 100 gallons of fuel or water. And don't forget the supplies that'll help you maintain your sanity. Because like I said, if you have a child that likes SpaghettiOs, you better have some SpaghettiOs, because if not, they can make your life just completely miserable in a stressful situation. And in a stressful situation, even the smallest things can help us keep our sanity, at least through the beginning stages of that, until we get accustomed to that situation. So what do we do now? Let's take some action and let's get started. But remember, it doesn't all need to be done overnight. It doesn't all need to be done today. This one is really tough to me because I'm the type of person that likes, I want everything done now. I get something stuck in my head and I just want to get it all done now. But the truth is, I have just as much of an idea about what will happen in the future as you, and that's none. But I want to be prepared for any kind of disaster that could possibly change my life forever. And like I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I want to be ready for it and prepared when that does happen. So before I go, I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I really hope you got some valuable information from this course. And please feel free to email if you have any more questions, or you think that I should add something else to this course or anything like that. But again, thank you, and then go out there and start preparing.